Welcome back all. So let's go ahead and continue. It's pretty late where I am at the moment. It's like 1 in the morning. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Amazing. But it's not unheard of that I do casts at like 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. I have no idea why am I even awake at such hours. But hey, since I'm here, I might as well go ahead and create these tutorials. Anyway, we came this far, now we shall go further. Since most of these lines of code, you see, you have one statement here, if statement, and then another if statement, and then another one, and another one, and another one, etc. They're pretty much the same, except we're testing for different conditions. We have conditions that test different, that test for different parameters, that test whether something is a file or not, whether that file is actually of non-zero size, whether or not whether or not a file even exists, whether or not it's readable, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and go over them as quick as we can, because it's nothing too complicated. It's nothing that we have not done already. But there are a few new things, and I will give you practical examples of the test operators, of the file test operators, and how they are used. So this is how you can use them. First of all, keep in mind that I'm using double brackets here. Why? Well, I need this to be evaluated. I need this, I need this ampersand sign, or double ampersand sign, or the logical and to be taken into consideration. You see here, didn't really need it, but down here, I again needed it because I have logical or here, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and see what is going on here. First off, we have -z. So -z is basically stands. What this entire statement is, if no argument given, then just go ahead and exit. So is the first argument given? It basically checks that the first argument is given and the second argument is given. So we have and percent sign, meaning that both of these need to be true in order for this collective statement to be evaluated as true. And if that is true, please echo no arguments given and give us the exit status. So if the first argument has not been given and if the second argument has not been given, then go ahead and state that no arguments have been given. Simple enough. Next up, we have $hash. Hopefully by now you know what that means. -ne, and then the number of arguments. So this is the total amount of arguments. And if the total amount of arguments is not equal to the predefined number of arguments that we want to be passed for this script, echo out that the usage of echo out how this script is to be used, and in what form and how many file names or arguments are you to provide to this script. And also provide the exit status. Next up, we will have negations here. So with the -e. So -e basically returns true if file exists. Why did we negate it here? What? So if we didn't have this exclamation mark, this would be true if the file existed. Right? Think about it. Yes, the answer is yes. Okay, so it would be true if this file exists and this is here, then fine, this will be true. And so will this, because we're testing the same thing for two files. But then the then portion of the code wouldn't be like this. We would need another else below in order to execute it, because you see, we wanted to put into then part of the code. So if this is true, I want you to basically echo out files do not exist and give me the exit code. So the exclamation mark basically just reverses the -e and it states If this file does not exist, return true. And if this file does not exist, return true. So if one of these two files does not exist, then this entire statement will be true. Therefore, then part of the code will be executed like this. That's why we are reversing them there. Hopefully you got that. If you didn't, hey, there is the discussion section. Feel free to visit it. It doesn't cost you anything, and we are happy to provide you with any sort of assistance or additional explanations that you might require. Also, before I continue, I absolutely encourage you to modify the code to a ridiculous extent, and please feel free to post it in the discussion section. Feel free to send me a PM to take a look at it if you like, or if you need some help, post it in the discussion section. But as I said, it's not a bad idea to actually just modify it yourselves and run the code in segments. So you wrote this part, run it, see what happens, try to modify it a little bit, play around with it, see what happens there. That is the best possible way to learn. And I am not giving you the complete scripts. I don't want you copy-pasting anything. I want you to actually take a look at it, type it in yourselves. In such a fashion, you will learn the most. Because if you would just copy-paste all the scripts from the entire course, I really don't think that you would learn pretty much anything. A woman or a man, doesn't really matter. A person learns far more when they actually use the code themselves, when they type it in, as opposed to just doing this, copy and then paste somewhere down here. And you see the exit went out and the terminal closed. I'll just open up another one. There we go. Let's leave it like that. Maybe a little bit up. Come on, there we go. Okay, so where were we? Dash E, I believe it was. Dash E, here we go. And the next one is, now we're using else if. So again, we are reversing this as we have reversed this above. So what does the dash F stand for? What is it? Do you remember? I have mentioned it before in the previous tutorial. It returns true if file is a regular file and not a directory or a device file. But again, we have negated it. So it will return true if it's actually a directory or a device file. So if this is true or this is true, please echo out no read permission. This is read permission. So if this is true or this is true, please echo out files need to be regular files. Because if we didn't have this not operator here, or negation basically, this would basically be evaluating to true if it was actually a regular file. But if it's just evaluating to true if it's a directory or a device file, we're pretty much achieving the same thing by just reversing the result, by reversing the condition. But no big deal, it can come in handy. I want you to see it. I want you to know how it is actually done. Down below, and you see the pattern is the same. We echo out what is going on, and then we have the exit code as well. Exit status as well. Let's go ahead and go down below. Dash R, what does the dash R mean? Is the file readable or not? So we're just testing out for that, and then we echo out no read permissions and the exit status as well. I'm pretty sure that this is quite clear, as it is pretty much the same as everything else that we have done thus far. I'm just giving you different examples of how these file test operators are used. Another else if with dash S, and dash S returns true if file is not a 0. So if it is basically, yeah, just if it's not a 0 in terms of size, so if it's greater than 0 in terms of size, this part will return true. Anyway, but we have reversed it as well. So the reversal is the same. You just take the condition and you pretty much reverse it, and then you get the idea of what it actually is and what it does. The last two that I didn't explain in too much detail, I did it on purpose because this one and this one are pretty much the same as this one. Not in a sense of what they test, but in the general sense of logic. And we're reversing it here and we're reversing it here. So just take a look at how I've explained it here and then try to understand these two on your own. I have explained what this means and what this means in the previous tutorial, and I have restated it here as well. So just take a look at it. If you fail, no big deal. Discussion section is always up and running. Anyway, down below, we have a cat command. What does cat do? Cat wood.txt, you see it outputs the contents of the file. So it shall output the contents of the first file, which will be the first argument, and the second file, which will be the second argument. It will pipe that to the sort command, and then the sort command will actually, the output of the sort command will be redirected into some new into file.txt. That's just how I named it. I know that I could have been a bit more creative with the names, but I figured I would stick to the regular things. I wouldn't name my files wood, water, cup of tea. I wouldn't name my files by the things that I have on my table, that I see in front of myself. Now we go down below and we come to the end of this script. It basically states another if statement. What is a $sign and a question mark? Anybody knows? So we're testing if the last command executed successfully, and if it did, when something executes successfully, what is the exit status? It's 0. So if the last command exit status was 0, and this represents that, is equal to 0, then echo out execution of the script. Execution of the script was successful. And I know I misspelled at least something here, but it's fine. Now we shall output the file.txt onto the screen to see what is actually in it. Else, if this is not so, please print out echo execution of the script failed and finish it. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this down, save it, clear the screen here. Make sure you have two files that you can use. I have blah.txt and tralala.txt and whatever.txt and wood.txt. I've shown you how to create files. So let's go ahead and type in clear, first.sh, wood.txt and blah.txt. And as you can see, it says execution of script was successful. Of the script was successful. A bit of a perfectionist, but no big deal. So the contents of the wood file of the wood.txt, I'm guessing it's test2, and the contents of the blah.txt, I'm guessing tralala. Let's see if I am correct. Yep. The wood is actually okay. We've used the sort command. Right. I'll explain in a moment. In cat blah. Excellent. So we have used the sort command, and you see how it has actually sorted out. It said test2 and tralala. So test was actually a part of the blah.txt, which was the second one passed here, and tralala was the part of wood.txt, which was passed first. So even though wood was passed first, Tralala is second here, the contents of the wood file, and the contents of the blah.txt file are actually first. Why is this so? Okay, type in the following: man, sort, enter, and read. You don't need to read through the whole thing and see all the arguments that can possibly be passed, but just take a look at the description. Write sorted concatenation of all files to standard output with no file, or when file is read standard input. I know this sounds stupid when you read it like this. You can take a look at the mandatory arguments down here and ordering options. So you can set your ordering options here. I'm really surprised that this is all that they've written here in terms of the general description. Usually there's a bit more. A much nicer description. But hey, I mean, never fear. This is not a big deal. You type in info sort. Huh. Now you got even more. Now you have even more information. Keep in mind that not all commands have the info pages, but when they do, it's fantastic, and a lot of them do. So now this will give you a lot more. You can see I'm just scrolling down, and my scroll is really fast, and you can see how long it takes me to go from bottom to top. Quite a distance I have to cover here. And you have perhaps a bit of a better explanation here in terms of the general explanation in any case. But that's what I want to show you. So if you type in man sort, sure, all the arguments will be explained, not in too much detail, but they will be explained, and you will be able to figure out what is going on and what each of these arguments actually does. However, some commands have info pages, so sort, which will tell you a lot more. They will give you a really detailed description in regard to that particular argument and in regard to that particular command. So please feel free to take a look at these files. To take a look at the info pages, sorry. Also, what I would like you to do now is, I will finish the tutorial, but try running the script and try giving it one argument. Try giving it files whose sizes are 0. Try giving it files to which you do not have read permissions, etc. And see if these arguments are actually given back. See if these exit statuses are actually given back to you. See how it actually works. This is no big deal. I don't think that there is a need for me to actually run every single case out onto the screen, but I would encourage you to at least run a couple of them and see how it actually works out. Here, let me just try one. If I pass a single file name, it will tell me, hey, this is the proper way to use this script, and you have not used it in a proper way. Also, the same will go for something. Okay. Let's go ahead and give it a file to which I do not have read permissions. So let's go root and nothing. Nope. Let's go. I don't know, what shall I visit? Let's go to dev and SDA. And we shall type in /dev SDA. We'll use the same two files. Okay, here it says that the files need to be regular files, but we definitely wouldn't have permission to this. These are actually device files for our drives. But in any case, I didn't go for the route where we didn't have the read permissions. Doesn't matter. I could create some files for you. But it says files need to be regular files. You cannot use these ones. These are non-valid ones. And I'm running a little bit short on time here, so I shall call the tutorial here. If anything was unclear, please feel free to use the discussion section. I have over 40,000 students, and they all pretty much get answers in the discussion section, and I answer to all private messages as well. Anyway, I bid you farewell and hope to see you in the following tutorial.